Hi. So today I want to talk about the forced incarnation and fake purpose. Now, I will not expand all into it. It's just like one specific concept or one specific part of it. And what I'm talking about is basically I was working with a person who was forcefully incarnated here, and also he got a fake purpose. And I was like trying to find out like how did it all happen, what's wrong with him, or what caused it all to happen and stuff. And the thing I've found is basically as he lives in greater realities and different kind of dimensions and had lots of different lives over there, he came here in the physical universe after hearing there's a lot of people who need help, a lot of people that you can actually find and actually bring from the physical universe to the greater realities. And it does not necessarily have to be Earth. You can actually go to Andromeda and other places and find beings who are equally stuck just like us. So he, as a consciousness, comes here in the physical universe. What happens is like, imagine like the whole physical universe is like a construct, like a little box. And once you get into it, looking for a place like, oh, where are those people that need help? So he gets this like numbness or like calling. And the thing is, the whole construct has this hypnotic command that numbs people down, and it's literally like like being on drugs. You come in fully aware, and there's that gas that gets into the system, and like, oh, you're drugged down and all. It's not necessarily gas, but it's the whole construct that numbs down the consciousness and has this sort of like physical, or let's say not necessarily physical, but that kind of voice going in you and like forcefully just calling you out. Like, like you feel this like a big urge to like, I have to go to Earth. And you're like a zombie now. You're not fully awake, you don't know that you're going to Earth, but you're like, oh, and you're following that sort of thing. So this person, he comes here with a great goal to free people from enslavement, to help them to go from the physical universe where they're trapped to greater reality where they're gonna be free. He comes here in this construct, boom, knocks him out. And there's this hypnotic command that like drags him, and he goes following it, and he forcefully incarnates on Earth. He did not want it to go on Earth. He did not intend it to go there. But that construct is like like just like giving you a carrot, and you're a donkey, you're following it, and all of a sudden you end up here on Earth. What happened? So the person ends up here on Earth. But another thing that happens, he also has implanted fake purposes. It's like, oh, I have to help people here on Earth. I have to do this. I have to do that. And all of these things that the person feels the need to do, but at the same time, he's not aware, like, what is it exactly I should do? What's my purpose? I just cannot find it. Like no matter what he does, he just keeps on digging and trying out tons of things, but it just doesn't fit in. Doesn't find a purpose, and anyhow. So as we're looking into this case, like, what happens? There are fake implanted purposes. So he has no need or want to be here on Earth. He was forcefully incarnated, and at the same time fake purpose. So now it feels like, oh, I should do this, I should do this, and that fake purpose gets you engaged in life, but at the same time it pushes you like, I just can't find my thing. I know I have to do something big. There's something big I have to do, just like it's there, I know it, but I don't know what it is. And so many people feel lost, like they're chasing this massive purpose and goal and trying to find themselves, and most of them will never will, because it's a fake purpose. And that fake purpose is like, I have to do something big. Yeah, describe specifically, what is that big thing that you have to do? How big is it? What are we talking about? Like, are you lifting out something big? Are we gonna lift some weights that are big or stuff? Or like, like what? So it's basically, that's like fake implant can show up in lots of ways. And a lot of people can actually come here with a great goal. But another thing that the dark force will do, they will look at what kind of being you are. Like, okay, you either come here on your own will, or they forcefully push you to incarnate here on Earth. And once we get there, they scan us. They look at our past lives, our Akashic records, and what have we done in the past? What are our interests? Oh, you're a person who loves to free other beings. You love helping others. All right. So they see your purpose and your true beingness is like loving, helping others, and actually freeing people that are enslaved, and like getting him from the physical universe where they are trapped into the higher realities. And so that's a real goal for some people, but it gets overlaid with a fake goal. And now I just want to like try to explain it in the best way possible, but basically that goal where you are gonna free people, is being overlaid by, like, you're still fighting for the truth, still fighting for people, but now it's all in the political terms. It's all about, like, fighting with groups and stuff, but it feels like, it's the same thing. Purpose feels like it's the same thing, but it's not. It's two different things. One is like, it makes you focused here on the physical earth. It makes you focus on specific groups, and then this fake goal that they overlay you with makes you so engaged in this life, in this physical body, in this individual experience, that you're so in, and then aggravates the hell out of you. For example, like some people, like, I just need to help people wake up. As a consciousness, when you're playing in different games, the way you wake people up is like, hey, you are not the physical body. You are not this one little being. You are infinite consciousness. You can do absolutely everything. Right now, you're focused on the individual experience, but you can zoom out and realize that you are absolutely everything at the same time. You come here on Earth, and you sort of want to do the same thing, but the message comes out like, hey, you are asleep, sheeplings, like, this. And we start talking about the politics, about racism, about different problems, and we're so engaged in life and still problems that we start identifying with this ego and this specifically individual experience more and more and more, and we forget the bigger game. And that fake purpose is so similar to our true goal and true beingness, but that's the thing. They try to, like, okay, they need a lot of truth and just a little bit of lie. And that little bit of lie will be all they need to make you focused on this life and fall asleep and just like, okay, no matter what you do, you're still aggravated as hell, you still can't reach your goal, no matter what happens. And like, it really pisses you off, or like pushes you into depression. And people are looking for their purpose, looking for their goals, and most of them will never have one. Just because you're here on Earth doesn't mean you have to be here. You wanted to come here, and you have a grand thing to do. Does not mean that. For some people, yeah. Some people will come here willingly. Some people will be forced to come here. But a lot of them will have their real goal. Okay, I'm here. I can't change that. So you forcibly got incarnated. But at the same time, you can choose your goal and purpose. Other people get like forcibly like put it on them. So it's like, I believe it's like important to understand yourself, understand the bigger concept of who you really are, where you've came from, that you are the consciousness, you are infinite everything. And then you look at this individual experience, and what do you want to do with this physical body? What do you want to do with this little beingness that you are here? And once you're done, you can go and play the big game. But if you're here, find out like who you really are. Just like understanding that like you're more than this physical body. And from then on, decide if you actually want to do something here or not. It's okay if you don't have a purpose. It's okay if you don't have big goals and don't want to do things. You don't have to. Some people are forcing, oh, everyone has to have a purpose. You're here for big reasons and stuff. You don't have to do that. And even if you came here with a grand goal and then got messed over and ended up in a harsh life, you don't have to change your purpose. It's like, oh, okay, I changed my mind. And that is a flexibility. Consciousness can decide like, oh, okay, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this. And you back off and don't want to play that game anymore because you're done. You have all the choices and you can do this. You have all the rights for that. So you don't have to chase the purpose because some ancestors told you like, oh, you're a big being and you have to do this. Your grandma told you that you have to do this and stuff. It's like, it's okay to change your mind at any time. So I guess that's my message. Like, so it's like seeing, like there are tons of ways and tons of traps, how dark side can trap beings who are powerful. And, you are a powerful being. You have like, massive creativity, massive consciousness. You're everything. You are the love, your kindness. And they see you for who you are for real. And you're a threat to them. Because they cannot create, they cannot imagine. And you can. And whilst they take millions of years and thousands of years to build spaceships and planets and different constructs, all it takes for you is like, oh, okay. You just look at it, you think about it if you want to, you put an intention, and you create things or you destroy things. And they know what you can do, and they're afraid of you. So they have to put you in this physical body, and they have to get you so engaged in life that you will not be aware of your true abilities and your goals and like who you really are. And get us engaged in life that like we're so engaged in one problem or another, or some of the things here. Have all the freedom. You can back off at any time. So I guess that's all I wanted to share. I don't want to go overboard with this too much because it's a vast subject. There's so many things to talk about. But the main thing is like there are different ways how they can trap beings here and force them to incarnate. And then there are fake purposes implanted, fake goals, and people feel like always chasing something, always doing something, but they don't know what, and they never feel fulfilled. And it's kind of harsh noticing that, and it's okay to know, like, hey, you don't have a purpose here. You were bamboozled, So kind of like deal with it, try to make the best out of your experience, try to enjoy it somehow. But once you're done, be done with it. And stop like having any relationship with this body in this place, and just get away and find another place where you can live freely.
So life itself is the price tag that we pay for being on earth. The misery, the tears, so that's the pain, the struggle. And then I kind of got this image of just being sucked in through a tube. So when we come here through whatever means, our consciousness, at least like our soul consciousness, it almost feels like, and I can still feel it actually, but it almost feels like we're being sucked through this tube. And so we're being really, really compressed in that way too, right? So we're being sucked through this tube to come here, to be here somehow, and to have our consciousness fit into our bodies, into our life, into this reality. Whereas our consciousness should be like so much more like over expansive, but it's really compressed in these small tubes, or kind of like in this small tube like thing. And we come through that thing, our consciousness is kind of like sucked through it. And so we're here on earth, and it's kind of sucked through it, and it's like in these bodies and these embodiments or incarnations. That's the best way I can kind of explain it to you right now, if that makes sense to you guys. I think it will for some people though. And the source connection outside of earth, I was wondering about that, if we actually had more of a source connection outside of earth. I do believe it appears that we might, and that's the main difference between being here and being elsewhere. So it could have been, let's just say you were incarnated on Arcturus or whatever, or the Pleiades or Andromeda, all of those things. It could have been that even though you were incarnated there and you were in your own embodiment there, whatever they look like, that you actually never lost that connection to source. So even though, because I know very clearly, because I tapped into a lot of my incarnations on Arcturus, actually, this is like 2+ years ago, and I was like, wow, life on Arcturus feels like an absolute grind. It's not pleasant. I was like, in one lifetime, I remember I was like this metal worker, just really, I don't know, kind of not like a peasant, but something like that. And then another, I was actually a king on Arcturus, but I was still not free because I was still succumbing and under the orders of other beings like Anunnaki, Draconian, whatever beings that kind of ruled over Arcturus. So I know Arcturus has been taken over by other beings too. And the Arcturians themselves actually weren't really free at all, unlike other people want to make you believe, but it doesn't really matter in this case either. So I'm just wondering, okay, so if life on Arcturus was such a grind, and a lot of people who actually had that experience in these other realities, and they come here, they might have flashbacks. If you were maybe on Arcturus somehow working somehow in the grind, like as a metal worker or whatever, and then you come here, and maybe like during the ancient Egyptian times or other times, you were part of like building up those pyramids, whatever. That's a different type of grind, but it's similar. You may have a flashback, like your soul may have a flashback to the trauma it experienced, like on Arcturus and here. And so you just carry that trauma with you from lifetime to lifetime too. And it is carried in our DNA. So a lot of that, I want to call it like cosmic DNA, meaning like the DNA that we had in these other lifetimes, whether or not it was here or in those other realities. We carry that with us in our bones, in our hairs, in our DNA, from lifetime to lifetime, which is also why we look similar in several different lifetimes already. Even if we were a man in a previous lifetime and now we're a woman, or vice versa, we still have similar features, if that makes sense. So, I remember I was definitely like a man in a few lifetimes, and I always had like the high cheekbones, at least what I got so far when I tapped into those, or just when I got like vision on those. So like just certain things, like certain facial structures, you just carry with you, which is also why, I have that one video out there, like Britney Spears, previous incarnations, or just like other people like Marie Antoinette, previous incarnations, all of that. which is why, some people almost look identical from lifetime to lifetime, but just like with new fashion that they're wearing, or they might have just have maybe a different nose or whatever, but overall the energy imprint, like the auric imprint, like you always carry that aura with you too, and your aura is very distinct. It's almost like a fingerprint. And the best way I can describe it is when you just see someone and you're really repelled by them and their auric field, because maybe they have like that witch-like aura or just like a very dark energy in their auric field. Something within you, maybe your intuition or gut instinct is kind of like, I don't like this person at all. I mean, that's you rejecting their energy and their energy field. And they carry that energy field with them from lifetime to lifetime. Absolutely. Where were we? Right. Source connections. So yeah, so if you had the grind in Arcturus, it's all in your DNA. So you carry that with you. And if you were like grinding away like 2000 years ago or whatever, you kind of just carry that all with you. Let's put it that way. Right. And so you might have troubles making it in this lifetime. I mean, a lot of people are having troubles making it in this lifetime, but it's kind of just like you're really grinding away and you're really sacrificing a lot, and you're not seeing a lot of fruits of your labor. So I know a few of those people personally in my life too, where I mean, legit, they've been busting their backs, carrying, like, for example, carrying a lot of gear with them for like the past 20 years or whatever. They should have been featured, as an artist on like high fashion magazines and everything, because they're so talented, and yet they can't seem to like make that break. And that is really because they've probably run through that cycle in a lot of different lifetimes, but it's also because you're a targeted individual and they are really keeping you down too. So it's just a lot that plays into it. But I mean, they know who you are, by the way. You might not know who you are because the veil comes down on you, but they, meaning whoever's playing this video game, they definitely know who you are. Sometimes with the DNA testing and everything, they get more of a picture of who you are too. But technically, from the day you're born, they already know who you are. You're already targeted from that day as well, at least most individuals who are targeted. And so they just put something on you, either like in the energetic realm, or something like a tag in a way, or a chip maybe, something like that. And they know very well who you are. They target you through those abusive relationships as a child, for example, really severing that mother to child connection, where I have a video on that too. Just putting you in a bunch of these reptilian situations where maybe you're being bullied at school, and you're just carrying a lot of trauma with you from that time, so that you have to work through that in your early adulthood, and you have to work through that through like most of your adulthood even, which most people don't do. So they kind of just numb their pain with alcohol or drugs or partying or overworking, just all of that. And so by the time where you actually work through that consciously, you might be of an age where it's almost time for you to leave this plane again. And that's kind of how they got you. So it's almost like a wasted lifetime in that sense. Obviously, nothing is really wasted, but the sooner you wake up and the quicker you wake up, the better for you. Let's put it that way. So if it takes you like 50 years to wake up, as opposed to 20 years or 30 years or whatever, it's obviously better if you wake up sooner, but it's never too late to wake up right now. That's what I very strongly believe too. So it does appear that the main difference to being here in this reality and playing in the reality of Earth, or whatever they call Earth, is that you do not have the source connection here on Earth. You only get glimpses of it, meaning that unconditional love, infinite love. But when you're somewhere else, like in these other realities, you do have that connection. And some animals, so that's when I meant when I said some beings here actually have that source connection all the time. Some animals might have it here. I very strongly believe dogs actually have it here. I'm not sure about cats. I'm not sure about zoo animals or wild animals, all of that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had more of that source connection than we do, for sure. And there was something with, I got to switch between notes here. So the main question is, when did it all turn into AI? I kind of feel, the other planets and everything, like the Lyran system, the Andromedan system, all of those were kind of overtaken by AI. So I feel just very strongly it's turned into AI a very long time ago. And that Earth might have been, I mean, I don't want to say it was created by AI. I'm not necessarily sure about that, but I feel it could have been one of the last landing spots, because I really do feel that we experienced all these other realities first, and then we kind of came here, and for a lot of people, the last lifetime they had was on Alpha Centaurus or Hadar, or like the closest star system to here, basically. Not for everyone, but for a lot of people who do connect with that aspect. And the reason for that could have been just because the entire star system was taken over by AI and everything. There are people out there who are talking about the Milky Way being in chaos and such things. And if the Milky Way is in chaos, for me, that legit means it's been taken over by AI or taken over somehow, which is basically what we're dealing with right now, right? So when did it turn into AI? I'm not really sure. I do have a strong feeling Atlantis and Lemuria have a lot to do with it, and where exactly they were, which reality they were in, all of that is still, still something to read further on. But there is a huge importance of staying here in this reality too. And I'm not sure I really emphasized that before in other videos, whatever. So I really want to emphasize it in this video, and which is exactly why you're not supposed to communicate with guides or channel beings or talk to all these other entities around you, or pray to the false god matrix, or just what the religion kind of teaches you, pray to all these Buddha statues, gods and goddesses. Because if you're imagining you're here in this video game and there are all these entities around you, first of all, there's probably a reason all these entities are around you. I mean, when they're saying people are volunteering to come here, all of that, whatever, no, I don't think they're volunteering to come here. So souls are being tricked to come here, but there's a huge wait list because a lot of souls have been tricked to kind of be here because this is supposed to be a better reality than elsewhere and all of that. So maybe there's a huge queue outside, of these incarnations where, let's just say we're on Earth, and then there's all these other beings or souls queuing up to incarnate here. And so it is important right now, especially during these times, to stay here in this body. I mean, I guess until it's your time to go or whatever, if that makes sense, because otherwise it might be that someone else, like some other consciousness, just takes over your spot here, and you might have a hard time coming back the way that you want to come back, just because they may have tricked so many other souls to come here, and because they're all queuing up upside. It's kind of like, you give up your spot in line, and that's kind of, you have to wait even longer. It's kind of how I saw it in a way. But at the same time, I do think we're also trapped here in a sense that it's not that easy just to go elsewhere. So it could be that they're building up these other realities, where it's like this one reality and this other reality where they kind of just want to drag all the souls to this newer reality. Let's just say the 5D reality, which is not, exiting the matrix at all. It's just kind of splitting up the souls and dragging them into this other reality so that it's even harder to communicate with each other, because then these are brainwashed to believe they're in 5D or whatever when they're really just in a different reality, different planet. And they're not going to fight, for their rights. They're not going to fight against this entire thing being overtaken by AI, but they're just going to be so complacent and happy with their reality until they're recycled through those, frequencies or dimensions, and then they have to like come back again to 3D and whatever. So it's just like this huge distraction again, which we might talk about in a different video. I mean, does 5D, all of that exist? Yeah, I do think it exists. I do think, when you go to other realities like the 70, the 90, whatever, yeah, absolutely it exists. It might be that your life is better there. It's kind of like that. It's a form of brainwashing in and of itself, because they give us a lighter reality. I felt I experienced that specifically when I was in Australia, where I almost felt I was like floating around. But at the same time, I was like, this feels so empty and like a version of AI, where now I'm almost thinking maybe 5D is a part of AI already, So I don't know, you guys. but it's not where you want to be. I can already tell you that much. And so all those new agers kind of trying to drag you in that reality, or kind of making you even more complacent by promising you like this false heaven or heaven on earth, or I don't know, fifth dimension. All of that is not really getting you anywhere either. Yeah, we might have a video on all of those 5D myths at one point next week or the week after. I'm not really sure. But, you know, just for the purpose of this video, it's really important that you actually stay here in this reality, because so you have all these entities around you, and they kind of want to overtake you. They want to overtake you by giving you advice, by acting as your spirit guides, by you channeling, let's just say, the Galactic Federation of nonsense, or whatever they're saying they are. We don't even know if that's them, right? Like they could just be reptilian whatevers. And by you, how else are they trying to drag you out of this reality? By walk-ins. Actually, walk-ins are a major one too. I'm not sure if I have a walk-in, but I know I interviewed, you know, this is like 1.5 years ago, I interviewed a few people who are like, I'm a walk-in, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, great. So what exactly am I talking to right now? And what entity are you exactly? Like, why did you overtake this person's body? There's something here about the human body that all those entities that say they are, and you know, spirit guides could exist, like guardian angels, protector spirits. I do think they exist. I've seen it firsthand with other people, maybe also in my own life. Yes, there are protective entities around us that actually protect us, where I don't necessarily think you're making a contract with them that they want to cash in on once you leave this reality. I think they're just around you because they're not reincarnated here, and they may have come from previous lifetimes. They could have been like maybe your grandmother in a previous lifetime, those kind of things. Yes, I do think those exist, which is why sometimes, you know, you have a car accident, you should have been dead, you're not dead, you're not even harmed a little bit. Yes, I've seen that, I've experienced that, I've heard of it. But what I'm talking about is when especially new agers are channeling their spirit guides, which you don't have to do that at all. Like all your insight is within of you. It's not through your spirit guides, it's not through anything. So when new agers are really promoting, oh, take advice from your spirit guides, don't listen to yourself and all of that, that's a means of them trying to drag you out of this reality, trying to confuse the heck out of your consciousness and splinter your soul consciousness up as well, so that when you're done with that for whatever reason, because you've been really misguided, or you know, you're waking up from the brainwashing and just the mind control, just like it happened. I mean, it happened to me. I'm sure it happened to other people too. You know, I literally, like, I remember this one like day or week or month where all of a sudden I was like, this is all nonsense. Like this is literally being in a cult like spell. And I don't know what exactly is happening, but my life is actually not better. Now I have to get myself out of this mess that I'm in because of constantly just being dragged in different directions through so-called guides or whatever. So once you wake out of that, what you have to do is really call back all of those soul pieces that are splintered in all these different realities, so just the same way that I actually had to do it back then too, in a subconscious way. But that's literally what we will have to do for a very long time, I feel, because there's so much infiltration that's going on and so many attacks that are going on right now too. So they're always trying to get to our soul pieces and try to scatter that consciousness. Whereas what we really need right now is to keep our consciousness together and to be fully, you know, incarnated and fully present in this body right now too. So there's a reason they want to misguide you, or they want to give you all this advice. First of all, a lot of these entities don't actually really know much better advice. You know, they're just tapping into these different potentials and timelines that are around you. But you are the only one who has a free will to say, no, none of that. I'm going to make this decision, move to this place and that place, and that's it. You know, and let's just say your so-called spirit guides are saying, no, that's going to be a major mistake, blah, blah, blah. You are the only person who's in control of your life. And you're the only person who's going to make that decision, no matter what the entities around you are going to say or not going to say. So, you know, there's a reason that we have to be fully present here. I think that was like my main point of that. Because they're using us as players in their video game, and they're probably also sending those entities our direction.